Good. We're gonna just jump right in, man. Just go ahead and continue talking about the CARES Act.
Yeah. So just to reiterate, man, for some of you might have missed it on the last episode, the CARES Act is a new stimulus package that was signed into law by the president and Congress. They've decided to give this $2 trillion stimulus to the economy.
Yeah.
It's broken out into different parts, different agencies responsible for deploying that money out into the economy, basically. But like I say, it's a broken system right now because they gave this money with no guidance, no support. You have an administration that seems to not want to communicate with the agencies that report to them,
right,
other than here we're giving you this directive, now get it done. So it's like no instruction or anything. And anyone that knows the Small Business Administration and SBA lending knows SBA does not work like that. SBA's number one goal is job creation and job preservation. Anything they can do to create that. I think the folks in the SBA are smarter than the administration thinks they are, and they understand that parts of this stimulus package are a Band-Aid. Yeah. And to your point, if things last longer than we think they will, and we have to have that expectation that we may not just be quarantined till the 30th, it could be longer. And with that expectation, we got to understand this could go on longer. Is this Band-Aid going to be a long-term capital fix for the economy, for business owners, and for us as people that work for a lot of these small businesses? I don't think so.
Yeah. Agreed, man. You know, the thing about it, let that car pass by. The thing about it, man, again, from my perspective is, you know, the stimulus package is not a bad thing, but it's also not the savior, right? Yeah. So people are excited, you know what I'm saying? In America, we have this tendency to have this getting over type of mentality, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, my father used to always tell me when I was a kid, something from nothing leaves nothing. You know what I'm saying? So again, you know, and to Nate's point, without a price, you know what I'm saying, there's no process. You got to pay a price. So when people are thinking that they're going to get this stimulus money, you know, whether it's even the personal checks from the IRS, you know what I'm saying, whether it's these loans, you know, through the Small Business Association, when you go in there with the mindset of this is something that, you know, ultimately I'm not going to have to pay back at an exorbitant amount of interest or whatever the interest is or what have you, you're fooling yourself and you're setting yourself up, right? So that's why I tell people, take the money if you need to. Right. That's why I said in another episode, pay your mortgage, pay your rent. Just because somebody is offering you some type of forbearance is the word I was looking for. That's why I keep a banker around.
Oh man,
you know what I'm saying?
And there's a difference between forbearance and deferment.
Definitely. But if they're offering you a forbearance, you know what I'm saying, or if they're offering you a deferment, you know, at some point you're still going to have to pay this, right? And again, if it's a deferment, you're going to have to pay it up front. You know what I'm saying? So again, it's one thing to say, oh, I haven't had to pay my mortgage for 2 months, man, thanks to, you know, my mortgage company being really understanding and what have you. Well, then in that third month, they're going to tell you, oh yeah, so now we need you to pay us, you know, 3 months rent. Yeah. 3 months mortgage or what have you. You know what I'm saying? So again, understand what's going on. Stop looking for the out, man. Look for, do what you got to do to survive out here, of course. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But don't think that there's not going to be a price to pay at the end of this, you know? So, okay, I want to get into, this whole coronavirus thing a little bit, man, because there's a lot of information that's flowing on the internet. There's a lot of different quote unquote theories about conspiracies and, you know, and all of these types of things. And I'm of the mindset, people can call me a conspiracy theorist. I'm not offended by that because I believe that conspiracies exist. And what I mean by that is anytime you've got two or more people, I should say, with a common goal, right, then there is the tendency for them to conspire together in order to reach that goal, right? That's what all U.S. politics, that's what everything is about, right? That's why you have Democrats and you have Republicans and you have independents and you have libertarians. These are people of a like mindset who said, you know what, how can we further our agenda? How can we conspire together to further our agenda, right? It's no different when people talk about, don't say it, Mick, the Illuminati or the top 1%, however you want to break that down, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, business versus the public or whatever the case may be. People who are business owners, you know what I'm saying, have one agenda, and people who are consumers have another agenda. We want the lowest prices we can get. We want to save money. We have a different agenda. That's why you have agencies like the Consumer Reports and things like that that protects their interests, and that's why you have, Trump in office to protect big business. Okay, so I just had to drop that.
Yeah.
All right, but anyway, I want to get into this a little bit, and this is one of those things, guys, where there's so much information that's been going through my head that I was getting jumbled up, right, and I couldn't really separate my thoughts. So I had to write some things down on this one, guys. So forgive me. I know that this is an extemporaneous show. You know what I'm saying? We shoot from the hip. We don't really plan. It's unscripted. But there's some things that I want to talk about. All right. So first of all, I want to talk about this idea that the coronavirus was something that was known about for a long time, you know what I'm saying? And in the entertainment industry, did things to try to warn the general public as to what was to come. Typically what happens is when something big happens, people go back and be like, oh, I saw this on this show where they said so on and so forth. A couple of things really came out. You guys all know about Dean Koontz in the book The Eyes of Darkness, right, where the coronavirus, or I think it was called Wuhan 400 in the book, right, was described as a biological weapon. So a lot of people jumped on that. Recently, there was it had came out that there was this show on Netflix, this drama called My Secret Terrarius, right, or Terrarius, or whatever, right. And in an episode that was filmed 2 years ago, right, they talked about this whole biological warfare that was being conducted by terrorists, in which the coronavirus was being used. Now, I think it's very, very interesting, right? And there's other things that, of course, that have come out as well with the whole virus. I thought it was very interesting that when the public started jumping on all of these things, that there was a very, very quick shift in the media, right, and in the medical community to change the name to shift from coronavirus to COVID-19. Right. I don't think that was done by accident. Okay. I think that was done by design. So that quick shift from coronavirus to now everything is being referred to as COVID-19 because of the use of that coronavirus term so much in the past in, media and literacy and just scientific reports, so to speak. Okay. Now, this is something, man, that I'm going to play that is very, very strange to me. All right. So most of us have an Alexa device or what have you in your home, correct? All right. Well, I got a partner who does not have an Alexa device. Right. That's what makes this even more strange. I got to find it. He doesn't have an Alexa device in his home. And he called me one day. He says, Mick, do you have an Alexa? And I'm like, yeah. He said, can you ask Alexa, did the government release the coronavirus? So I asked, and my Alexa said, nobody knows, the root cause of the coronavirus, blase, right? Some standard thing. But his phone, every time he would go into messages, it start repeating to play this message, right? And I'm like, dude, can you record that? I said, see if you can record that and send it to me. So he did. Y'all got to hear this, man. This shit blew my mind, man. All right, I'm going to try to hold it up close to the mic so y'all can hear it.
The government released the coronavirus.
According to Event 201, the government planned this event, created the virus, and had a simulation of how the countries would react. This simulation occurred October 18th, 2019. The government released the virus among the population and has lost control of the outbreak.
Okay.
Did the government...
So that was him asking Alexa, did the government release the coronavirus? Whoever voice that was. All right. And this message just kept repeating over and over and over on my boy's phone. Now, in case you weren't able to hear that, I wrote it down. All right. This was the response from Alexa. All right. It said, according to Event 201. So that's the first thing that struck me. I'm like, what the hell is Event 201? All right. But it said, according to Event 201, the government planned this event, created the virus, and had a simulation of how the countries would react. The simulation occurred on October 18th, 2019. The government released the virus among the population and has lost control of the outbreak. That's what that message that kept repeating on his phone. I don't know who was transmitting that. I don't know why it was hitting his phone, you know what I'm saying, or what have you. It was an Alexa thing. And my thing is, once things get out, things change, right? So whoever had programmed Alexa, whatever, may have gone back and changed it. So now when I ask Alexa, I get a different response, all right? But Event 201, Event 201, right? I'm just going to get back to the timer so I know where I'm at right now. Event 201. So I had to go look at that. I Googled Event 201. It took me to a website called the Center for Health Security.org, right? And when you go to that website, it talks about how Bill Gates and his wife, Melanie or Melania, I don't know what the name is, Gates and stuff, they were part of this thing. And guess when it took place, guys? It took place, you know, this scenario or what have you that they played out took place on October 18th of 2019, just like that Alexa recording said. You go in and you read the scenario, and the scenario is scary. I'm just going to give you a few things that came out of the scenario. I'm not even going to talk about how it talked about, you know, really being permeating low income, high population areas in major cities, all right? But it said the outbreak of novel zoonotic coronavirus transmitted, this is what the scenario was. A new outbreak of the novel zoonotic coronavirus transmitted from bats to pigs to people that eventually becomes efficiently transmissible from person to person, leading to a severe pandemic. They were practicing this before this came out. Like literally, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like they were practicing a pandemic of a coronavirus that went from bats to pigs to people transmission. Okay, here's more. Largely modeled on SARS, but more transmissible by people with mild symptoms. Okay, this is all part of their simulation. They made this up, guys, all right, to see what, all right. In their simulation, it lasted for 18 months with 65 million deaths, with no vaccine for the first year. The pandemic will continue until 80 to 90% of the global population has been exposed. After, it becomes an endemic childhood disease like measles or like the chickenpox. Okay, so in their simulation, okay, it lasted for 18 months. I'm not saying this thing is going to last for that long, but why would they have a simulation before the actual outbreak? Okay, and why is it constantly the numbers are going up, the numbers are going up, the numbers are going up for exposure, and at the same time, okay, there's really no end in sight. We're just being led along in 15 to 30 day increments. All right, it's scary, man. It's scary. I don't know how much time I got.
You gotta finish this.
I gotta finish this, bro. I gotta finish this. Isn't that, it's deep, right? So then, you guys may have noticed that there's another major conspiracy theory that's making its way over the internet right now. And you know, for all intents and purposes, I'm just going to call it the 5G theory. Okay. This is where people are saying that there really is no virus. Okay, but the 5G, the new 5G network that's out there, what it's doing is it's causing oxidation issues within the human, genome, within the, which is there's two people I want to shout out, man, that I saw on Facebook. One was a brother called Femi Abudakin. Okay, his video has since been taken down. All right, and the other one is this sister called Crystal North, and her video, some people tell me they can't get to it anymore, but I can still get to it. So if you want to holler at me, I'll send it to you. They insist that the virus, or Crystal insists that a virus cannot exist outside of the host for a long time. Okay, like the media and the CDC is telling you, right? And her premise on that is she said like HIV. You know what I'm saying? If somebody with HIV touches a bottle or sneezes on a bottle, whatever, you know what I'm saying, and they're telling you that the virus can last for 7 days on this or that and the other thing. She said if another person comes, if that was the case, the whole world would have AIDS. You know what I'm saying? She said if that was the case, she said the viruses can't live outside of a host for that long. She said so it's basically a crock of shit that they're telling you. Okay, you know, so she doesn't subscribe to. She believes and he believes that the theory that high frequency radio waves, okay, from the newest 5G communication technology is having a poisonous effect on the public. Okay, not much different than people who live near power lines or downstream from a nuclear facility or what have you, why there's always a high case of cancer and leukemia and all of those things in that. Without what they're saying now is the high frequency of 5G is something that's causing that. Now, here's where I come in. All right, I worked in wireless communications for years, man. And me and my brother-in-law, we used to joke all the time, man, back in the day. Because when I got into the game, you know what I'm saying, we was talking 1G, 2G. I may have jumped ship as an engineer in wireless communications when we were just touching 3G. Okay. Right? That's when I got out of that industry. But you know, the way it started out, man, you know, with GSM and you know, some CDMA companies and stuff like that, used to have a tower, man, like every, you know, 4 or 5 miles apart. You know what I'm saying? And we would hand off from tower to tower. You can be on a call and hand off from one tower to the next tower. Because the frequency, it was high frequency, but it wasn't low frequency like TDMA, you know what I'm saying, or shortwave radio or things like that. All right. But in order to get more speed, because back then everybody used phones for telephony and phone calls. Now, data, right? So the data is got to be high speed, right? When I was down, I mean, data, man, doing something that was high-tech data was like a short message, you know, SMS. You know what I'm saying? You didn't, as a matter of fact, if you used your phone to get on the internet, you was doing something like a 9600 baud rate or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Very, very slow network, man, you know.
I don't know that term, but keep going.
Yeah. So it's very, very slow. You know, now everything is the speed of thought. Right. So in order to make that happen, you have to have a lot of towers, right? You got to have very, very high frequency, right? That but the higher the frequency, the more susceptible it is to refraction and breaking down and what have you, right? So you got to have all of these towers a lot closer together, which means you have to have a whole lot more of them. Right. All right, now we're into the 5G world. Very, very high frequency and a very, very high amount of these towers, okay? So what they're saying is radiation poison, which comes as a result of that. And they're saying that what it does is it damages your DNA. It could lead to cancer, cause oxidative damage, cause premature aging, which is why I probably look like this now, y'all. You know what I'm saying, for being in the industry so long. Potentially lead to other disease through the generation of stress proteins, okay? That's the piece that I want to jump on, that it can possibly lead to other diseases, all right? So my mindset at this point is I believe that there is a virus that's out there, you know what I'm saying? But I also think that there may be a connection, and this is just Cigar Mick, y'all, all right? Don't trip. But I do believe that there is something that is causing the human body to be more susceptible or have a weakened immune system in the process. So that's the reason why it's becoming more and more difficult to fight this virus. I don't believe there's anything new under the sun. All right, the virus is the virus is the virus. Whether you were talking Spanish flu, whether you were talking MERS, whether you were talking SARS, you know what I'm saying? They are all different iterations of the same virus. And I feel the same way about coronavirus. So just like we have fought those and we're able to fight those and whatever and come up with you know, vaccines and stuff, we should still be able to do the same. The reason why this one is having such a worldwide pandemic you know, run is because, especially in these high population areas, New York City, Detroit, you know what I'm saying, Atlanta, you know, whatever we're talking about right now, on that cruise ship that has so many cases, what I'm told is that they had just rolled out 5G on that ship, you know what I'm saying, and what have you. I think there's a connection, man. All right, there you go, guys, mixed conspiracy. That's it.
How much time we got, man?
I think we might need a rap, bruh. be honest with you, I'm at 19 minutes, man. Yo, guys, thanks for hanging with us. It's your boy from Apart from Minute Cigars and Conversation. This is what we do. I'm your boy Cigar Man.
It's Cigar Banker. Don't forget, keep following us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, click the bell link on YouTube, go to YouTube, comment, like, share, all that stuff, man. We appreciate y'all.
That's it, y'all. We out, man. Hit us with your comments. We out. Peace. Alright, y'all. So I just dropped a lot, man. I like dropped a stink bomb in the room and ran out on y'all and whatnot. But me and Jaren, we still out here. We finishing our cigars and whatnot, and we're just chopping it up amongst ourselves. So we said, you know what? Let's shoot a little bit of bonus footage and let's chop this up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Well, I just dropped out there, man. So go ahead. You were talking about game theory.
Yes. So in economics, there's a principle called game theory. The game theory is built off of what's called the prisoner's dilemma or the prisoner's theory.
Right.
Which basically the scenario is you have two prisoners, you arrest them at the same time, they're both involved in the same crime. What is the probability that one will basically tell on the other one, say, yes, we were involved in that crime, versus the other one saying, no, we were not there, we had nothing to do with it. That turns into a probability. That's the basis of it, is these probabilities of different scenarios. So economics is a science, right?
Yes.
But it's a science built on math. So everything is about how to develop it with math data, so that you can communicate that to everyone. Economics is a transmutable language. The math is the same whether you're in France here or wherever else, right? I mean, Africa is the first country to have math. But anyway, in this theory, once you start having those probabilities, you know what those probabilities are for different scenarios, you can develop a lot of different theories. So based on what you were saying about Event 201, Event 201, the hypothesis was, if we enter this virus into the population, what will happen? And we know the characteristics of the virus. It's highly transmutable. It's going to be hard to defeat on your own with your own immune system, those sorts of things. So we already know from experience how long it takes to create a vaccine, how long it would take to introduce that vaccine into the population so people can start to build their immune systems to fight these different things that go on. Like you said, we saw it with SARS, H1N1. We broke it down. You even broke it down to measles, and something as small as chicken pox. Is almost every kid that was my age had chicken pox.
Right.
But that probability theory goes to show that you can put great minds together and show how you can introduce any scenario. But why one so sinister as Event 201?
Right, exactly. So again, what's weird to me, man, or what requires some critical thought, I should say, is that everyone has been basing things off of fiction, right? This fictional literary writing by Dean Koontz, or a fictionary television show, or another fictionary movie, like Outbreak or Pandemic or what have you. But Event 201 was real. It wasn't fictional. This actually happened, where they gathered scientific minds, medical people who are the top of their fields in the medical field from all different countries to come together to New York City to sit down and say, what would happen in this scenario? Let's simulate this. Let's pretend that this has happened, and let's go through it, and let's see what the final outcome would be. So these people actually came together to do that. This happened, you know what I'm saying? And the results that they had said, oh shit, it's gonna roll for 18 months and 65 million people are going to die globally. You know what I'm saying? That was their theory. So again, first of all, what made them do that? You know what I'm saying?
But it had to be, I would think it had to do something with the fact that they were looking at the data, looking at how people's bodies are changing, because we have data on that. We've talked about it before, that I have less sperm than my grandfather did. It's harder for me to build muscle than it was for my grandfather. The food we eat is more contaminated with cancerous cells than it was 40 or 50 years ago.
Exactly.
So all these different factors, you take that into account and say, okay, what's in my mind? I'm thinking of it from an economic standpoint. I'm an economist at heart, so I think about it from an economic standpoint. Economics is only the theory of what if. It's a science. So if you look at it from that standpoint, someone like Bill Gates comes in and says, what could throw our economy completely out of whack other than something of our own invention? And a pandemic is one of those things.
That's it.
And they've seen it happen before.
So here's the thing. I don't think many people, I'm sure there's some, but many people haven't prepared themselves mentally, physically, or what have you, spiritually, for a pandemic to last for 18 months. What happens in 18 months when the agricultural system fails? And it's not that, we can't get to the stores to get food. Well, there's no food because the agricultural system. What happens when the power grids fail? Because you can only get people free electricity and all of that stuff for so long, right? And whatnot, without having, the funds to come back in to upgrade and do things that need to be done. Eventually, parts fail, right? What happens when the economic system, to your point, fails, right? And it's no longer a matter of, well, I don't know about you, but at least I got some money. When are you going to use it? All right. What happens when all of those things fail? What happens when society goes freaking, to straight anarchy and what have you? You know what I'm saying? I mean, how many people have actually prepared themselves for that possibility, bro? You know what I'm saying? And when we look at shows like The Walking Dead, not to get back to the fictional thing, but when you look at things that talk about, apocalyptic type of scenarios, in surviving these types of scenarios, how many people, because America is a nation of consumers, bro.
Yes.
Not a lot of people know how to get out there and hunt and fish, you know what I'm saying, or grow food. If the supermarket ain't open, motherfuckers go hungry.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be funny, bro.
No, it's true.
You know what I'm saying? So again, these are things I think that people need to be thinking about on the real, bro. You know what I'm saying? And again, I know this is this cigars and conversation, bro. I'm not trying to be an alarmist out here, but I'm trying to say that critical minds, are asking questions, and trying to prepare themselves. And there's one thing to be a drone and just say, oh, cool, I don't have to go to the office. I can sit home and watch Netflix, or I can do this and I can do that, and this is great family time, and all of those things are cool. But what are you doing in this lull period to prepare for what, may be the inevitable?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. That's a good point.
That's a trip. Yeah.
But like I said, man, it just, there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing that we haven't already known. Right? And I say that because we have data for a lot of these things that are playing out right now. And I look at facts.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Because you talked about game theory. And when I hear you explain game theory, I think of chaos theory. You know what I'm saying?
Similar.
Yeah. So I mean, is it the same thing or is it different?
Very similar.
Okay.
And I'll give you an example. So one of the things that's going on right now, real world experience, is oil prices. So back to your point, when you start talking about the infrastructure,
yes,
energy sector starting to fail, things like that. Oil seems to be the first indicator all the time.
Yes.
Why is that?
Because ain't nobody driving right now. Ain't no planes flying. Ain't no cruise ships going. This, that, and the other thing. So what? So fuel has dropped.
But Operation Iraqi Freedom. Yeah. What was a big hot topic during that time?
It was the oil.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was a big factor during the Saudi war?
Oil. It's always oil.
So but oil is something we have to actually work to get. Yes. Power grids and things, once we establish them, a lot of times in certain aspects they can run themselves. But oil is one of those things we have to work to get. And without oil, what do we become? It shuts down a lot of stuff.
It does.
A lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of power grids that run off of oil.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of industry. If the trucks stop moving, we really in trouble. That goes back to your point. No food, no toilet paper that y'all been hoarding. Yeah, none of that.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. No, I agree with you, man. 100%. Bro. Like I said, but I know that we used to call these fringe people out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, they got bunkers and, you know what I'm saying, they've been stockpiling weapons and ammunition for years, and this, that, and the other thing. But at the end of the day, man, these folks don't look so crazy to me now. I got to be real. They don't look so crazy to me anymore.
We've been hearing zombie apocalypse for years.
Right.
And it's funny that all the time that term has been being used, we say it jokingly now, but it could be a real reality. It may not be zombies, but definitely if this pandemic plays out the way like
you get sick enough from radiation poisoning, you look like a zombie.
Mm.
I'm just putting that out there.
Mm. Yeah. I've seen people with radiation poisoning. We live with the atomic test site just north of us.
Yeah.
So you consider the people that worked on the test site. I've seen people that worked on the test site, and they in their 50s, and they look like they 80, 90 years old.
Exactly.
They walk around with respirators and all these different things. They on canes, and their skin look bad. They look wrinkled. They got all these different blemishes and things on their skin. So you absolutely right.
Look like zombies.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy, bro. So, all right, what do you do? What do you do, guys? What do you do? We got a couple minutes left. First thing I'm gonna say is redeem the time. You know, redeem the time. Use this time that you guys have, man, to really be thoughtful, be strategic. Think about what is your action plan. You know what I'm saying? If the worst came, how would you protect your family? Where would you go? How would you try to wait out 18 months if you had to? How would you eat during that time? You know, as far as the radiation and all of that type of stuff, man, I don't know if it's true or not true. But if something is attacking our immune system, it's harder to fight off a cold. I mean, just keep it real, right? So it's not that the cold got stronger or the virus got stronger or what have you. We just don't have the ability to fight it like we used to. So, man, house party be kidding. So, you know, I've heard it said that iodine is a good option for helping to fight off radiation poisoning. That's what was used during World War II with the soldiers and stuff like that. So maybe you want to supplement your diet with some iodine. I don't know. I'm not qualified to give medical advice, so please don't take it as such. But as for me and my house, if there's a slight possibility that, you know, supplementing my diet with some iodine might extend my days so that I can be here to protect my family, well, you best believe Mick is going to be supplementing his diet with iodine. Point blank. Do what you do.
Yeah, that's a good point, though. I like that point, man. Redeem yourself.
Yeah.
This is actually an opportunity to grow mentally. I mean, I'm loving seeing all the people out walking and running. You getting ready in case you got to run 3 or 4 miles instead of down the street. So.
Yeah, don't do me, man. I'm sitting at home trying to figure out who's shrinking my clothes while I'm at home, man. So don't do that, right? Like, literally, man, I got to get on my game, man, because I've been sitting at home like, man, is it time to eat again yet? You know what I'm saying? So at the bottom line is, and because of my back injury, I have not had the ability to be active, man. But it's time to start jumping rope and doing push-ups and, you know what I'm saying, jogging or whatever the case you got to do to get your wind up, man. Because when, you know, you got to be in shape for everything. You know, so you can stock up on, you know, you can stock up on all your ammunition and all your firearms, but when it comes down to hand, you better have something in the tank.
And if nothing else, it's made you more aware.
Exactly.
It made you more aware, and it gave you, now you got time to do it. Because, you know, a lot of people will say it's time, and if it ain't time, then it's dedication.
Exactly.
So it's one or the other. So
there it is.
There it is.
All right, man. Hey, guys, this has been just a little bit of an outtake. You know, just some bonus footage, man. So again, we don't know. We're gonna drip this stuff, man. I don't even know how much of this we're gonna put out at a time, but we're gonna drip this out, man, so that you guys can follow us and know what's going on. Again, not trying to be alarmist, not trying to get anybody to be afraid, but we do want you to be woke. You know what I'm saying? We do want you to be aware. We do want you to be a critical thinker. We do want you to ask questions, right? Because that's what we do while smoking, you know, a premium cigar.
I don't know how many times we can say this, but I'm going to say it again. When we say cigars and conversation, that's really what it is. What you probably doing with your families in your own backyard, your patios, your decks, whatever. You probably doing the same thing. This is the things we discussed. We just turned on the camera and showed it to you.
Exactly. That's it, y'all. Yo, I'm your boy Cigar Mick.
It's Cigar Baker, people.
We out, man.
Peace.